Hey everyone, it is Monday, and you know what that means. In our expert series, we bring back Greg Dickerson. How you doing, sir?
Doing great. It means Mondays with Michael.
I love that. I might have to get a T-shirt that says that. That's pretty awesome. So, Greg, hey, one of the things that I was thinking about over the holidays, right? It was a different kind of holiday, at least for us. It was, Zoom calls or FaceTimes. It wasn't the, with family and all of that. So I had some time to think. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today was something that I once heard called the middle class mindset.
Right.
And I want to talk about what that means to you, what it means to me. And this will be step one of at least our three-part series. So when I say middle class mindset, what hits you? What do you think that is, from your standpoint?
Yeah, that's how I grew up and a lot of people, grow up with that. And, that is that go to school, get good grades, go to college, get a job, work there, for 20, 30, 40 years and retire,
Hmm.
and everything's going to be hunky dory. And, you have your weekends to live your life while you're, doing the commute and the Monday through Friday thing. And, that's one way to look at it. And it's an interesting mindset, but it's kind of the way the world worked for a while there,
Mm.
very different now. It doesn't really work that way now. Um, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's still a lot of people that follow that model that, you need that percentage of the population that goes that route. But, none of that is, true today as it was back then.
Yeah, when I think middle class mindset, I go back to that mantra that was I literally. So I'm Generation X. My mother's obviously a baby boomer. I guess obviously she is a baby boomer, and she would say every day getting out of school, for grade school at least, was Michael. Now go to school, get good grades, so you can get a good job, so you can make a lot of money and buy nice stuff. I mean, that was
Hmm.
every day. I mean, like it's tattooed on my brain, and that's the middle class mindset to me. And really, it's the connection between work 40 hours for 40 years and then you're a consumer, right? Buy nice stuff was kind of the closing part of that. And I think it's that connection. And that's actually what our economy is, right? It's built on consumers, right? 66% of our economy is consumers. And obviously it's needed to make the economy go, but that's the danger. It's not the go to work, make a lot of money. It's the spend it, right? And the more and more I talk about it and I look at creating another program around budgeting and all of that, it's people don't appreciate net income minus monthly expenses and what's left. That's what I'm seeing as I talk to more and more people about this. And
Well, and more importantly, the difference really was so the one of the philosophies back then was buy as much house as you can, max out that
yeah,
monthly payment,
you're
buy
right.
as big and as much house as you can, fill it with a bunch of stuff, then trade it up and keep going, keep going, keep going. That was one of the mindsets of it. The other one was nobody ever talked about, doing more in terms of, growing your income. It was about saving and a little bit about investing, but not about,
Mm,
well, how can I make more, how can I maximize my income, how can I do more. It was more about, do your 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 or 7 to 3:30 or whatever it is, eight
mhm.
eight 9 10 hours a day, whatever you're working, go home and then recreate with the rest of your time. Don't
Right.
use it to build a skill set, don't use it to buy real estate, don't use it to do these other things. Now this is just in general,
Yeah.
that middle class mindset of a comfortable lifestyle of, you go to work, you spend your time there, 30, 40 years, and that company will take care of you the rest of your life. And, we know that that's just not true these days. Companies aren't structured that way. And, as we've seen, companies can evaporate overnight. So that was another aspect of it. It wasn't about growing, your income. It was about budgeting, spending less, not making more. Not how can I make more to do whatever, invest, save, spend. It was working and spending and living within your means versus growing your means.
Mhm. Yes, that is very interesting. I totally agree with
The
you.
other thing too is job taker versus job creator. So my mantra has always
Oh.
been don't be a job taker, don't be a job seeker, be a job creator. So from an entrepreneurial mindset, from a mindset of growth and expanding your means, think about, how can I create opportunity for others? So in my career, in my business, starting from the very beginning, my goal has always been to create jobs and keep other people busy. And
Mm.
if I not just busy, but productive. And if I could do that, everything else will take care of itself for me. So that's kind of been my mindset in business. How can I help other people be more productive,
Mm.
in general and create jobs?
Wow, lots there. I want to peel back because again, I think one of the things we're seeing, we're kind of both in that middle group, right? The baby boomer, you're right, was big house, get the gold watch, save, and then enjoy your weekends, right? Live for the weekend. If
Yeah.
we flip it over now and we look at millennials, which are now the largest generation, right? At least by count, um, they're house hacking. It wasn't a concept for the baby boomers, right? Right? It wasn't
No,
there. Now it's not the gold watch; it's the side
not at
hustle.
scale. I mean,
Yeah,
people were doing it, but not at scale. I
not
mean,
it.
that
It
was a
was
thing.
yeah, it was an accident probably.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I had to bring my sister in line or whatever. Then we go back to employment, right? It used to be the gold watch, right? Work somewhere 40 years, get the gold watch. Now it's the side hustle that's celebrated. And also in this work from home environment is you really can live anywhere, right? And you're moving jobs. And you're right. My parents' generation, again, and I say my parents because that's who taught me, was very much save, right? Save, save, save. And now there seems to be a lot more conversation around invest, right? What are you doing with your money?
Hmm.
And then I think that last thing you brought up, the job taker versus job maker. First off, that was never a concept in my family, right? You were always looking for work, right? In my
Yeah.
family.
Get a
So I think
job.
get a job, right? Get a job. So that's interesting. So when you think middle class mindset, do you see it in the last decade, has your opinion changed about what it is or what it might be in the future? Or is middle class mindset always work 40 hours for 40 years to live on 40%?
I think it's that. And I think it's just more of a comfortable living and lifestyle, being satisfied with, whatever and just being comfortable, So I think that's more of what that is versus the millennials now and the zillennials, the way they're coming up and how they're seeing the world. And then
Yeah.
there's the group that came through the 2009 and how they're seeing the world,
Yeah.
where people know that back in the day that a house was your biggest investment, your best investment, your most you know um, safest investment, which we know today that it's not, and it's not always true, and it's not always the case. Markets are up and down. We're in a
Right.
boom cycle right now, and everybody's talking about a housing crash. Well, it's going to happen. The question is when.
Hmm.
Everything is just like stocks, just like Bitcoin. So it's an interesting thing in terms of that middle class mindset. But I think more than anything else, it's a mindset of comfort. It's not a mindset of growth, expansion. It's a mindset of this is all I can do, and I'm happy, and this is fine. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. We should all be satisfied with what we have and be
Mm.
gracious and grateful,
Yeah.
with what we have. But for some of us, you want to maximize all of your opportunities and do the best you can with what you're given.
Yeah. I think the one thing that has changed is as we just share and riff on this is, again, I go back to thinking about as a child, what I saw in my parents is you really could. My grandparents, for example, on my father's side, they worked at the same place, I think, for 40 years.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever changed jobs, or yeah, jobs or employers. I guess I should say employers. I
Yeah.
guess they changed jobs, but employers. And then, my father was in and out of work a lot of times in the 80s, which was a bad recession. And, then I go to my career, right? And I bounced around. And then I think about my daughter. And I just think you're right. I think the word comfort is being transitioned today or appreciated as risky.
Yeah, comfort, yeah, and risk aversion and protection, because our parents, I'm 53, so my mom,
Hmm.
her parents went through the depression. So
Right.
she was raised with a very different mindset of preservation, and stocking up food and being ready for a disaster like that.
Right.
So my mom and dad kind of had that. My dad grew up same thing. His parents went through the depression era, and so they were like, hey, let's build so we have income. So my mom was 40 years with Blue Cross Blue Shield. That's basically the only career she ever had.
Hmm.
My dad was military right out of high school, just like me. He made a career of it, only did the 4 years. But he retired with full benefits and everything at 38 after the Navy. And then he went to work in civil service and retired after I don't know 20 years of that. So he had full retirement from the Navy, the civil service. Then he had Social Security coming in at 65. He died at 73. He never
Oh,
got to really enjoy or reap the benefits of a lifetime, 60 years of working to support what he wanted to do. He obviously, he should have lived into his 80s or 90s. He
yeah.
died at 73. So, it's really interesting when you start thinking about that mindset of the long haul. There are no guarantees. We don't know. So one part of it is, man, spend everything you got and enjoy life, because you just never know
Right.
when that's going to be gone. Don't leave your kids with anything. Spend it.
Yeah. There's some of that. Yeah.
And then so you just never know. And my mom, after 40 years, she's living comfortably, but it's comfortably. She can't do whatever she wants, whenever she wants, travel where, she's got to live within her means, and that's the middle class mindset, living within your means versus expanding and growing your means,
Right.
and taking some risk.
Yeah. When closing out this section, I guess the thing that I want to talk about is you're right. You said it a couple of times. I haven't. There's nothing wrong with the middle class. If you're comfortable and that's where you want to be, and and it's where you want to be, awesome. I begrudge no one, but I see a lot of people somewhere between complaining and whining, right, about where they are. And what I have seen is most of the folks that I see complaining and whining, they have a spending problem, not an income problem. Or at least the spending problem is larger than the income problem. Everybody could make more money, right? Everybody could. But when you consume more and more of your net income with monthly expenses, I've seen people that have to work 28 days out of a month before they have any extra income, right?
Yeah.
You can't even afford a flat tire or that cavity in one of your kids' tooths because you're just so close to the living on the edge. And I guess that's where I see the problem, right? Is people need to take some some ownership of their choices. Stop blaming others. If you've made the choices to consume 4 different streaming services, for example, that's on you.
What about like 5 or 6? Is that a problem?
It could be. It depends, right? If you have $100 left over at the end of the month as your extra money, that's a problem. If you got 10 grand left over, I don't care, right? Those are your choices. So
yeah. And and that's the automatic millionaire David Bach, talking about, don't go to Starbucks, take that $5 and invest and do this and do that. So, you can pare down your lifestyle and take that, invest and grow and sacrifice the now for the later. But really at the end of the day, again, think about how can I? Not I can't afford it, I can't do it, how can I afford it? How can I do it? How can I grow my means? So like you said, everybody has the capacity to earn some more. The question is, what are you doing with the off time? Are you gaming? Are you spending all your time sitting in front of the TV gaming? And, like my dad, instead of growing and doing other things, investing, he was out, playing tennis every night, recreating. I mean, he was just recreating, not expanding his horizon, his connections, and, looking for opportunities to earn more. He was focused on living within.
Yeah.
And that's why he was ticked off every single month when he sat down to do the bills. You didn't go near my dad because there was no money left, And that's when he had to face the reality of his limitations and the things that he wanted that he could not afford. And instead of thinking, how can I? It was, I can't, and I've got to dial this in and live within this thing.
Yeah. Well, that is going to be topic number 2. It's going to be how can I versus I can't. I think that is going to be a wonderful conversation, Greg. Thank you very much. And we'll get on to number 2.
Yeah.